Hope you didn't get too attached to that Knott's Berry Farm Giga Coaster proposal because it sounds like that project might be dead. If you've been following the channel for a while, then you know that back at the end of December 2021, we posted a video talking about the plans that Cedar Fair sent to the local planning commissions for a 347-foot tall roller coaster, most likely by B&M. It would start in Ghost Town, go out into the parking lot, would cause for a new parking garage to get built by the Knott's Berry Farm Hotel, and it was going to be a bigger and better Fury. The only problem is noise. That end of the park is close to some neighborhoods. There has been a history of things not getting approved over there, and so people were immediately worried. They're questioning whether or not this was going to happen. It sounds like Knott's has come up with a plan B because these plans were just discovered and posted online, showcasing a completely different layout. And this is for a ride that is a lot smaller. Now, disclaimer, I did not find these. As you can see, the picture is a little pixelated, so I'm doing my best to break it down based off of the information that we have. But to my knowledge, anyone could go to the planning office and see these. You can see there in the bottom left-hand corner the date of the drawing. This was April 3rd of 2022. That does tell you that this is a lot more recent than those Giga Coaster plans. So I think it's safe to assume that those plans are no longer accurate. So first things first, where is this new layout going? Well, it's still going to start in Ghost Town, but it's now going to stretch towards the front of the park, under Beach Blvd, and towards the main parking lot. I think this is actually a much more ambitious coaster to build in terms of location. Yes, the other coaster was obviously a lot bigger, would have been probably a better ride, but if this goes forward, how they're fitting this thing in is very, very impressive. And it will change the skyline and entry experience for Knott's Berry Farm. So what we've done is taken the plans and overlaid them with Google Earth. If you're familiar with Knott's, this is what we're looking at. When you start walking towards Ghostrider, to the right, you have the Ghost Town Bakery, Spur's Chop House. To the left, you have the entrance of Ghostrider and that turnaround that it does before it enters the lift. And that whole area is going to completely change because that's where the entrance to this thing is going. So we're most likely going to be saying goodbye to the bakery and Spur's Chop House. That locker area by Ghostrider is going to get moved, and all that is going to be turned into a station and queue area. So yes, Ghostrider and this roller coaster's entrances are going to be across the midway from each other. It would then take a slight right out of the station and cross over the first turn for Ghostrider. Now you might notice some of these stats that you see here. It says the track will be 91 feet above Ghostrider. Well, that's not exactly right. You have to remember this is the same as the previous plans where it's accounting for altitude. Knott's Berry Farm sits 79 feet above sea level. So you have to subtract 79 from all of these stats. So actually, when you leave the station, you are 12 feet off the ground, which makes the first hill 165 feet in the air. Yes, that is quite a downgrade from 347. So it's going to pass over Ghostrider, over some of these buildings that are part of that entry experience into Knott's. If you're familiar with Virginia's gift shop, yeah, imagine that you're there. You can look straight up at where the first drop will be. Directly over Grand Avenue, which is that little side road to the right. That's the one that hugs the Knott's Berry Farm perimeter, and then it's going to go underneath the main road of Beach Blvd by approximately 17 feet. And it'll do that coming back as well, so it's not going to pass over that road. Remember, this is still a pretty main road if you're in Buena Park to access other businesses and stuff, but it's still going to be a very cool experience. When you pop up, you're going to bank a little bit to the right, and you're going to head towards some of these buildings that you actually pass through when you're walking from the Knott's Berry Farm parking lot into the park. You're probably familiar with that underground tunnel that goes underneath Beach Blvd so that you can cross into Knott's. Yes, that little walk, yeah, that's where this coaster's going. So that underground tunnel isn't going anywhere, but this ride will be passing over that pathway. And it looks like our next big hill is going to be 122 feet tall. We then have a hammerhead turnaround, very much in the style of like Nitro or Candemonium, where it turns around and heads back. That's going to be about 89 feet in the air. You bank again low to the right. Next hill, 78 feet. Go back underneath the road. We then have a 54-foot tall hill, a 45-foot tall hill, and then our last hill is 40 feet in the air. And then you're hitting the brakes at about 26 feet off the ground. And it's worth mentioning this track is going to pass directly in between these buildings right here, where you have that Virginia's gift shop and the cable car kitchen and Starbucks. And then it does the turnaround back into the station. They really are squeezing this coaster in. If you had asked me to look at Knott's Berry Farm and try and find a place to fit a ride, I would not have selected this land. Like, it is actually amazing if this goes through how they fit this ride in. That's why I said I think this project is actually more ambitious than the previous one. I know not everyone's going to agree with me on that, but I think this one will be a much more drastic change to Knott's Berry Farm since it will be directly affecting your entry experience. I also got to commend them on doing a good job at not disrupting Ghost Town. Really, all it will affect is your beginning experience on Ghostrider. And yeah, it means losing the bakery and Spur House, but like whatever. The main bulk of what makes Ghost Town cool still remains the same. The biggest downside is no Giga coaster, and technically not even a hyper coaster. Again, we're looking at 165 feet in the air. Assuming we still go with B&M, that would make it not as tall as Goliath at La Ronde, that's 175 feet tall, but it would be taller than Hollywood Dream at Universal Studios Japan. That is 144 feet tall. Now, is it possible that this is not going to be a B&M? And I would say yes. I mean, there's nowhere on these plans that says specifically that this will be built by Bolliger and Mabillard. I think it's safe to assume it will be B&M because the Giga coaster layout was definitely B&M, and so it makes sense that they would stay with the same company and just come out with a different layout. And just looking at these plans, I mean, it's very B&M-like. I think part of me does hope that it would be like Mach instead. I think a coaster in this style from Mach would actually be much more impressive than one from B&M. I haven't been too crazy about these mini hypers. I mean, yeah, it'll be fun and it'll be good floater airtime for Knotts, which is something that they don't have. But it's not going to be a big speed machine, you know? That Giga coaster was supposed to be that headlining attraction for the park, and this definitely won't be. Well, okay, I won't say definitely. I mean, anything is possible. But just looking at this, I mean, I imagine I would probably still like Ghostrider better. That 347-foot tall Giga coaster, though? Well, I mean, that could have been one of the best coasters in the world. But I get it. I mean, noise is a big problem. You have to get these things approved. Or maybe it wasn't noise at all. Maybe it was budget cuts. They decided that they can get a better return on investment without spending as much money. Also a possibility. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this project. I myself am very intrigued. I did not expect there to be such a drastic change with this project. I mean, usually if all goes according to plan, you might see some minor changes here and there, but this is like completely different. So I think it shows how volatile this situation is. Things are constantly changing. So for all we know, this still might not be the final product. It's hard to say for sure, but if this is the final product and they're trying to get this open next year, then I would expect things to start changing around that area pretty soon. If not, then maybe we would see this come in 2024. We'll have to wait and see, but let me know down in the comments below what you think of these changes. Do you like this new location for the ride, or do you think it'll ruin the Knott's Berry Farm entry experience? Tell you what, it'll certainly have a major impact in the park skyline. And also if you've ridden one of these mini hypers, what do you think of them? Bottom line is, if this ride gets built, there still won't be a B&M hyper west of Chicago, because changing from the world's tallest Giga coaster to not even a hyper is definitely a downgrade. So be sure to post those thoughts down below, and of course stay tuned for more Knott's Berry Farm rumors and news updates here at Coaster Studios. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.